trash will always be trash.
Does this keep happening to you? Do you still wonder why your best with Emperor's Death Beam only gets you 3,894 attack rating, while that other guy somehow comes out of the run with a score of 13,107? Then you check the leaderboards and you see that that same person has over 5 million points of damage dealt in the raid and is at number 1 by a margin of 4.6 million. Well, you're in luck, because today I'm going to teach you how to raid like a pro. We'll start off with a quick lesson on the kinds of things you really should not be attempting to do in raid. First and foremost, the biggest mistake anyone ever makes when coming into any of these raids is they do this. Never, ever do this, and I'll explain why. Keep in mind that the training keeps an eye on your damage. I'm going to change the training session so that health runs normally. Notice on the damage meter, my damage is not being counted. The boss is taking damage from poison that generic Saiyan here applied to him, but it's not counting towards the damage I'm doing to him, and it won't count towards the damage you do to the raid boss either. And if you do this to certain raid bosses, I'm using Fuse Zamasu as an example, since he's one of the bosses you can actually choose in the training mode, but some bosses have skills like Marbling Drop and Peeler Storm and Gigantic Ki Blast, and usually they're triggered when you do a big amount of damage to them. The problem is, even though the poison doesn't count as damage, it can still trigger the bosses to repeatedly use those ultimates. And I'll show off something else that's fun about them, too. Notice that my character, who is the current raid boss, was able to completely escape from... that Super Spirit Bomb. Notice how much damage it did. 145 damage. Did it again. Bosses are immune to damage when using boss skills like Peeler Storm. Be honest with me. How many of you do nothing but this against the raid bosses? And nothing but that. That would be like if I tried to play Dragon Ball FighterZ and try to get to a top tier rank by using nothing but the auto combo against all my opponents. How would that go for me? Be honest. This combo right here is completely meaningless. Even if you try to use it for a knockback like I'll do here. I'll use a Gallic Gun right after. That's still not a whole lot of damage you could be doing. What you want to be doing is doing rapid supers, so I'll show you a neat move that you can do in this game. See, if you press the key button along with the heavy button at the same time, you perform this attack. It knocks back your opponent in a single hit. Watch this. This time I was able to fully charge a Gallic Gun, and I didn't have to put in all those unnecessary hits. Look at this. It should not take 20 hits to get a knockback. Again, it's heavy and key attack, and you perform this move, which will knock the opponent back, and if I hit the fly button, you fly really fast after the target. You can even follow this up with an attack, and then follow that up with a stamina break. And if the boss is not targeting you, you will always get away with doing that unless someone else knocks the boss away from you, likely doing this. It's really difficult for other people to attack when you're doing that constantly to the boss. And the funniest thing is, I've never used a male Saiyan before now just to show off this combo, and I knew already that it was just hitting the light attack button over and over again. Here's another common mistake I see a lot of people making, and I mean a lot of people. I think most people have convinced themselves that this is how you're supposed to raid. Did you notice how much damage I actually did when Zamasu used his evasive to escape that? I've covered this in a previous video before, talking about why Emperor's Death Beam isn't that great in raids, but I think it bears repeating here. The bosses have lots and lots of ways to escape it. If they have an evasive, they can use the evasive to get out of it, reducing your damage. They can use a boss skill, like I demonstrated with Peeler Storm, to escape it. If they use a gigantic ki blast, they've escaped it. If they use Brainwash Attack, they become completely invulnerable to damage, and you won't damage them. And if they target you while you're using Emperor's Death Beam, and some versions of Brainwash Attack target no matter where you are, you will get hit by the Brainwash Attack, and most likely will get mind-controlled. Unless the other player helps you, but if the other player knows it's your fault, they may just leave you to get mind-controlled. I know that's what I'd do. So yeah, then there's this Super Soul. Everybody brings this Super Soul to the raid. My question is, why? So let's take a look at what this Super Soul does. It gives you the Rush Ki Blast type, something I've also seen people just spam repeatedly, even though that doesn't do much damage. They also like to tend to fire regular ki blasts at raid bosses. Nothing but regular ki blasts, and I really have no idea why they do that. They shouldn't even be relying on basic strikes to do damage, let alone doing that for whatever reason. But let's take a look at what this Super Soul actually does. When the battle begins, you will gain 3 bars of ki. That's the XL boost to your ki, which lets you activate the Golden Form, or Super Saiyan 1, or Kaioken times 3, or become a giant if you're playing a Namekian. But what does it do when using Emperor's Death Beam? It activates ki auto-recovery mode. And that's it. All it does is it makes Emperor's Death Beam to get its full 10-bar effect out, makes it cost 7 ki bars. So, yeah, it just costs 30% less ki to use it. And that's to get its fullest potential, but as I pointed out in my previous video on Emperor's Death Beam, even if you add unlimited ki, it will stop firing all on its own once it has done the equivalent of 10 ki bars. And I showed off why super attacks, used properly, can outdamage it by a mile and a half. So yeah, Emperor's Death Beam, not a good call, and neither is this. Never actually used this attack. Notice something. Keep in mind, I'm actually using a Super Soul that, yes, it's unblockable, but check out what I just did. Go ahead, Broly, try again. An evasive like Dragon Burn actually stops it from working. 5 ki bars? That goes down the drain, especially if you miss. Or if they use an evasive or another ability that blocks the attack. And look at the damage it does. I want you to keep in mind, this character has a 125 in ki blasts, supers, and as a Super Soul it is giving me an additional XL boost to my damage. You'll see, I do 12,473 damage. Let's try that again, this time with an ultimate that costs less ki to use than Gigantic Roar. I just did more damage than Gigantic Roar using Final Flash, an ultimate that costs 3 ki bars instead of 5. And there's also one other reason why you don't want to use Gigantic Roar. You render the boss invulnerable when hit, and that includes if they block it with an evasive like I was doing with Dragon Burn. While that beam coming out of his mouth is up, I cannot be touched. Not by any attack in the game. You give temporary invulnerability, which prevents any other allies on your side from being able to hit the raid boss if you spam Gigantic Roar, which is why you don't do it. What other skills are a bad idea to use in raids, because they'll interrupt everyone else's ability to hit the boss? Well, any of the time skip moves will count. When you're using any of these moves, nobody else can hit the boss. You might as well be throwing him. Grabbing the boss can be good to get him out of your face, or to get him away from comms when they're causing you trouble, but for the most part you shouldn't want to rely on these to do damage. The only The only one that might actually be worth using is Time Skip Molotov, and you'd want to use this one whenever somebody's spamming Emperor's Death Beam and wasting their ki, because then you could just slip that in, and once again, it's like the boss escaped their Emperor's Death Beam, only to get caught in your ultimate. And again, don't feel bad, the boss would likely have prevented them from taking that much damage from Emperor's Death Beam anyway, so never feel bad about doing that to anyone who only charges and uses Emperor's Death Beam. Another problem skill that won't net you much damage in a raid, but will annoy the other players who won't be able to hit the boss, is Super God Fist. Like, don't rely on this for damage in the raids. You can get it in a knockback, but seriously, don't do that. Every time you do that, you're interrupting someone else's super attack or ultimate attack or whatever. The only reason I could think of to use this, again, is if someone's spamming Emperor's Death Beam, but again, for the most part, don't rely on this. Let's talk about Casina. This is the character I mostly use in raids, although I do have other characters that can run them. Let's show off her stats. First I'll show off the Super Soul I have, not the Super Soul, the QQ Bang I have. The Super Soul will be there too. You'll see here I have Fuse Super Soul, which is right then, let's begin the experiment. When my health is above 75%, I gain Ki Auto Recovery Mode, which stacks with the natural Ki Auto Recovery Mode of the Earthlings, which is what Casina has as her race. It boosts the amount of Ki I restore when I attack, when I land punches and kicks, by XL, which means I get a lot of Ki if I just hit the boss a couple times with moves like Stamina Breaks and Knockbacks and such. And it boosts Ki Blast based skills, same thing, XL. This, to me, is one of the best Super Souls in the game when it comes to raiding. You can't do much better than this one. The one that I think comes the closest, like a close second to that one, is the new Super Soul, I've Cast Aside Everything for this. This one always boosts the strength of all your attacks by XXL, meaning that all your attacks get a significant boost to damage, regardless of what your health is at. But you'll see here it increases the damage you take from every attack, reduces your move speed, reduces the amount of Ki you get from attacking enemies, and it reduces your stamina recovery. And the Limit Burst gives you super armor, which, contrary to what you might think, isn't really that useful in raiding. Granted, the Super Soul for Right Then Let's Begin the Experiment isn't much better. It does give you health and stamina recovery while lowering your defense, and that one I'd say is the close second place for what you want to have. The other ones that come in that might be more useful are, for example, don't look at the Super Soul itself, we're looking at the Limit Burst effect. The best Limit Burst effect for raiding is attack up, Ki Auto Recovery, and stamina recovery speed down. The increased attack and Ki Auto Recovery means you can go all out on the boss. If you have Bomber DX equipped, when this Super Soul activates, get close to him and use it fast and over as often as you can. Your Ki will usually recover fast enough to keep you continuously firing. You can also use this to take advantage of the Ki recovery to use the Vanishing Ball Infinite. The other one that might also be considered, but isn't necessary, is the recovery gauge up. That'll help revive people, but against certain raid bosses, you may not actually want to revive people, and I'm going to cover that in the next part of this video. Now that we've gone over the number of things you should not do in raids, what do you say we look at some of the things you should do? First of all, I'll show you one of the best super attacks for raiding in the entire game. It's this one. This is Nappa's skill, Bomber DX. It has a wide range. It has a limited range, but it has a wide blast, and it does a lot of damage when you hit with it. And because it only hits one time, you do that full damage, even if the boss uses an evasive. You can see I did 7,000 with it against Broly here. I'm going to change his stat real quick to use his evasive. Now watch this. Even if he evades, I still get the 7,000 damage. I'll compare that to the other skill that's pretty good, that was recently buffed to make it really good, Vanishing Ball. If I use it, you'll see nothing really happen there. If I get closer, you'll use the evasive and prevent the damage. But, yeah. If you're using Bomber DX, you'll get one big hit, and even if they evade, that damage still counts as yours. And if you do it fast, you can keep swinging it and blasting. You can see I blasted him through that evasive and got another hit in. Now we'll switch off his evasive and just have him stand. I'm going to set the health and ki to unlimited. And I'm going to show you the other unique thing you can do to bosses thanks to the buffs. They buffed the Vanishing Ball so that you can now endlessly combo into it if you do it right. Look how much damage I just got. 32,449. And I only hit him with a few Vanishing Balls. You can set this up in other ways too. If you do a stamina break, you can start doing this right after. Let's see how much damage I get now before he falls out of range. Look at that. 65,218. You can basically infinitely Vanishing Ball them so long as you have the key to use it and the boss doesn't fall out of range. If you're on a smaller map, like say the Wasteland stage, the boss will never fall out of range, and you can keep hitting the boss again and again and again, regardless of where he is. So now we're going to set everything there to normal. And we're going to try that again. And I'll show it wasn't just because I had unlimited ki that I was able to pull that off. You'll notice my health is regenerating a little quicker than usual. That's due to the Super Soul I'm using. The Super Soul I have, and I usually use in most raids, is Right Then, Let's Begin the Experiment, which is Fuse Super Soul. I'll show off some other plays you can set this up. You can do the knockback hit with the heavy strike and ki. That'll let you knock him back and start immediately firing. You can burst charge to get a quick boost of ki. There's a couple other setups too. After you break their stamina, if you hit heavy, 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 and then do that, on that fourth kick, you kick them up into the air, and then you can set them up and they'll still be at close range, and you can start hitting them with the Vanishing Ball infinite. Now on top of spamming the Vanishing Ball, I'm also holding forward towards the opponent. That's because you can cancel out of using certain attacks. Like here, I'm just holding the button and spamming Bomber DX. Notice how there's a long recovery frame where my character, Casina here, pulls back her arm. Now I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm going to be holding forward. Notice it comes out a little quicker. Whenever you're using super attacks and spamming them, you want to be holding towards your opponent. This will make you use your supers faster. That includes the trick with the Vanishing Ball infinite. See what I'll do this time is I'm going to hit light, heavy, heavy again, and then go right into Vanishing Ball. That works too. Most knockbacks will send them into this. Any move that gives them the knocks them off balance can be comboed into the Vanishing Ball infinite like I just did. And again, a stamina break, you can go into it immediately. When you land that heavy smash, you can go immediately into the Vanishing Ball infinite. When you don't have ki, hit a quick boost charge. If the boss is getting knocked around by comms or other enemies, or other players, just do another burst charge. And look, I've almost got full ki from what I have. That's another option right there. If you hit heavy, light, and then Vanishing Ball, I can go right into the infinite. Like I said, any knockback combo, most of them will set that up perfectly. Another thing that can set it up, if no one is hitting the boss and you dash in, you can go right into the Vanishing Ball infinite. If he gets hit, though, he'll recover faster from your dash-in hit, and it won't work. To fix that, you do the behind burst dash, which costs a point of stamina, but when you use it, whenever you hit them, you can go immediately into the Vanishing Ball infinite. Now keep in mind, it's working pretty good here because I'm doing this by myself, and there's no other players here. But yeah, let's see how high I can get the hits up to. You see how before he fell out of range, and I ran out of key, I got up to 93 hits. Bet you can't do that with Emperor's Death Beam. I'll show you what I did. When I set it up, start shooting the balls, but then I dash in, hit him, teleport, then hit him with the knockback hit, and then keep going. If he doesn't have stamina, if his stamina's been broken at that point, this will always work. If he has stamina, though, he could vanish and avoid the knockback hit. If he's not targeting you, this will always work, though. Unless he gets too close to his teammate. You'll see my combo thing shows a Z. That means I was actually able to Z combo him. Again, the only real struggle is that the allied comms and other players will likely be knocking Broly around the map, or any other raid boss, as it were. Most of them usually just dash in, or hit him again, dash, do something like this, then knock him back, do that. Yeah, but let's see how much damage this does. Let's see, 6,702 for that lengthy combo that just knocked him back a whole bunch. When one Bomber DX does more damage than that, and comes nowhere close to the 73,174 damage I did using getting the Z combo with the Vanishing Ball Infinite. So yeah, I've shown off the best way to do damage to bosses, but what other skills work? Well, I'll be glad to show you. Here's some other skills that you could use to do damage to your enemies. First up, we'll talk about Bending Kamehameha. You can see in one hit it does 6,042 damage. It's lower than what you could do with Bomber DX, but this is the skill you'll want to bring instead of Vanishing Ball if the boss has infinite armor, since you can keep your distance from the boss and still hit them no matter how far away from you they are. See, I'll demonstrate that. I'm going to go really far away from Fuse Zamasu here. At least close enough that I can target him. I'll fire the Bending Kamehameha, and you can see even from this range I can still hit him with it. This will keep you safe from him. Another skill that's pretty reliable, even if it's kind of basic, is Consecutive Energy Blast. You'll see it only does about 4,600 damage per volley, but that's still pretty good. And if you have another player working with you, you can actually keep this combo going infinitely, and the boss will have no choice but to use an evasive or a skill, like a unique boss skill, to escape from the attack. So you can effectively infinite the boss that way for some high damage. Double Sunday does good damage too. You can see it does a bit more than Consecutive Energy Blast. Well, actually it does a little less than Consecutive Energy Blast, but the trick behind this one is it's fast and you can keep shooting it. This one's also a good one to choose if you're fighting an armored boss, since you can keep rapidly firing it. But Bending Kamehameha will do more damage and is more accurate at longer ranges than Double Sunday would be. So it's really a matter of personal taste. If I was going to recommend it, I would say Bending Kamehameha is the best skill of all three of these. Super Destructo Disc does pretty decent damage. You'll see it does 5,543. It's fast and it can't be blocked. If I activate Potential Unleashed, the damage goes up to 6,200. That's close or even higher than what Bending Kamehameha was doing. The best part is you can set up this attack with a knockback, but not every knockback works with it. Like if I do this and then... wrong move. Try again. You'll see that actually works. Or does it? I'm going to set the CPU to actually fight back against me real quick. But you can see that setup technically works. They don't try to escape from that. You can also use the knockback hit into Destructo Disc, and it'll work too. Let's set him back to standing real quick. I'll show off a few moves that don't work. This knockback they'll recover in time, as you can see. If I do this and then hit him, same problem. He'll recover before I can hit him. But if you dash into him before a combo hit, he will not recover in time to avoid it. Wrong move again. What I'm going to demonstrate is that that combo does work. Yeah, some combos will set it up and others won't. Yeah, that combo is 5 lights, a heavy, 2 heavies, and then the Destructo Disc, and that's how I did that combo. You can also set up like this. That's heavy, light into Super Destructo Disc. And basically what you want to do is you want to get one of those knockdowns and then throw the Destructo Disc immediately after getting the hit. So you'll cancel into it basically, and you'll get that damage off of it, which is good damage. And if it looks like the boss is going to take them, just throw a bunch of them at him at once. Again, hold forward if you're going to spam the super, because that way you'll stay close to the... That way you'll cancel the movement, you cancel the recovery animations so that you can do more of them. Next we'll talk about Milky Cannon. This attack can be pretty good because you can hit them at close range. Some combos will also work with it. That one does. You can just hit him with a fully charged heavy and then Milky Cannon. You can also do that with Bomber DX, which also definitely works. Dual Masenko does a lot of damage, but its real use is against enemies that have armor, since you'll hit them multiple times. The other use for it is if you're going up against Grade 8 Baby as the raid boss, this is the most powerful skill you can use. Because as you get close to Baby and keep using this, you'll hit him multiple times, which will rapidly drain his stamina, and then when he's down, get near his legs or on his shoulder or something, and spam it to the point where you hit him multiple times with Dual Masenko with every cast, and you will do massive damage to him. So we've talked about supers, at least Ki Blast supers, but I'll show off the one strike super that I feel is the best one for raiding. The one raid boss off the top of my head that I can think of that takes more damage from strike supers and less damage from Ki Blast supers is Hercule. Now I have a different character that's designated for dealing with raid bosses where you want to use a strike super attack instead, since those will do more damage. But Hercule usually has super armor when he's the raid boss, and any strike supers you use against him probably aren't going to hit him, since he'll just move out of them. So what is the best one to use? Well, I'll show you. This is Kamehameha Boost. When you use it, you'll fire a Kamehameha backwards and just fly into the opponent and hit them. I'm not doing a lot of damage, but that's only because Casina's stats don't complement strike supers at all. Like I said, I have a different character for doing this. When he has armor, you just have to keep shooting it. Just keep firing it if he's not targeting you. Heck, even if he doesn't have armor, you just saw I got a bunch of hits in on him just doing that. Though chances are a lot of the comms and other players will cause it to miss by putting him in invincibility frames when they knock him back or do other things with him. Like if I do this and then try the boost, you can see I hit him, but now I'll try this combo. You'll see I knocked him too far away. Same with the knockback hit. The problem is, a lot of people will probably be dashing into him and doing stuff like that to knock a boss without armor back, so you wouldn't be able to hit them reliably with the boost. You have to get real close and then just use it. Against bosses like this, don't even try to use any other attack. Just keep charging up to use Kamehameha Boost, and then use it as much as you can. You'll usually still do enough damage to get a pretty high score, even if other players are spamming other skills that knock the boss away. Just keep firing and keep getting close to the boss to use it, and it'll be just fine. So against an armored boss, what you'd really want to do is just keep hitting him at close range with Bomber DX, or staying away and using Kamehameha Boost. And yeah, against unarmored bosses, you'll want to try to knock him back and use Vanishing Ball, or hit him with Bomber DX over and over again. Just get close, try to knock the boss away, do stuff like this, get a stamina break or a hit, and once you can hit him with a Bomber DX, take that opportunity to do so. So we've covered the offense, basically, and I know what you're thinking. I haven't talked about any ultimate attacks. Well, that's because if you're doing these strategies right, you won't need ultimate attacks to do a lot of damage. Those super attack strategies will be sufficient enough, but I'll go over a few ultimate attacks that, if you really feel like you'll need them, are the best ones you could bring to a raid. The first one, Special Beam Cannon. See there, I did 10,914 with my build. Fire it again, same thing. It hits one time, it comes out quickly enough, and the opponent cannot block it. So instead of using Gigantic Roar, which costs 5 key bars and only does a little more damage than this, use this instead. The best part is that knockback that it inflicts leaves the boss vulnerable for other players to still attack it. So you're not interrupting anyone else from using that skill, which is probably the best part about it. Another really good ultimate, if you want to rely on those for damage, despite knowing my strategies, would be Super Vanishing Ball. You'll quickly throw out this large pink ball that will smack the enemy for 14,000 damage. That's with the build I've got, which I showed off. Best part is you can combo it into the Vanishing Ball Infinite if you have the key for it. So yeah, if you have to bring an ultimate to do damage, I would say bring that one, since you can use it to set up the Vanishing Ball Infinite. You may remember I made another video showing off a number of skills that work after the heavy, light combo, and you can cancel them right into an ultimate and it'll connect. Super Kamehameha will connect. So will Brave Heat. So would Full Power Energy Blast Volley and Full Power Energy Wave. Special Beam Cannon would work. And a few others work. I believe Final Flash works. And you could use those ultimates along with that combo if you want to, but chances are the comms and other players will probably end up stopping you from using that particular skill. But I'm going to show off the one I usually bring to a lot of raids. This is Soul Punisher. And I'll show off that since I mostly use super attacks to deal damage, I've got openings for what kind of skills I want to bring in terms of ultimates. Here's an ultimate I always bring with me in the raid. This is Elegant Blaster. You'll see here it says disappear for a bit and move wherever you like. When you reappear, you'll attack with a powerful key wave. And there's a reason why you'd want this one. The reason you bring Elegant Blaster is not for its damage. You'll see here Vegeta's attacking me. Imagine if he were a raid boss and he was hitting me real hard, or if he had armor and was really dangerous and I don't want him to be his target. What could I do about that? Well, I could try running away, but see, the AI has a solution for that. They'll start shooting ranged attacks at you or chasing you. Or they'll start doing this where they start hitting you. There's a far better solution. Let's say I just want Vegeta off me right now so he can't attack me anymore. And there we go. I got him off me. All I had to do was use Elegant Blaster, and you disappear. When you disappear, they lose their target of you. There are a few other skills in the game that also allow you to do this. One of them is Ill Bomber, where you blow yourself up and disappear. But you can only use Ill Bomber if you're playing as Imogen, for example. Another one that can work is the evasive skill Psycho Escape, which is Guldo's evasive. When you use it, you freeze the opponent in place and run away. So I'll use the Elegant Blaster again. You'll see he still got me, but that's only because the other target is farther away. If I move further away, though, they get off of me and go after the other targets. This is invaluable in raids, being able to just get the boss away from you instantly, so long as you have 3 bars of ki. Which, chances are, you probably will have them if you're using this strategy, since you'll be bringing Burst Charge, which gives you about 2 or 3, thanks to Fuse Super Soul. So now you know how to use offense in the raids like a pro, to get the most damage like I do. But what about defense? I'm going to have my boss version of Arctic X here, in training mode, show me off some of the skills that the raid bosses will try to use against you, and how to counter them. First up is Marbling Drop. When he uses it, you'll see that if I use this skill, Drain Field, you'll see that it not only protects me from his attack, but will also give me ki for every attack that bounces into that shield. And you can avoid the entire thing like that. You can also just guard the blasts, but that's much trickier to do. And he's doing that because there's a long cooldown on Marbling Drop when you use it in the crystal raids. But yeah, the best way to deal with it is Drain Field. You'll get free ki. If you're close enough, you'll get knocked back by the barrier. When that occurs, you'll want to use a evasive skill like Vanishing Guard or Dragon Burn or Angry Shout or something, and as soon as that evasive is done, activate the Drain Field. If you do it right, you'll take minor damage and lose a bit of stamina from using the evasive, but you'll be protected from the full brunt of the ultimate. The same strategy works against Peeler Storm. As soon as he disappears, use Drain Field. It'll look like it won't protect you from it, but it totally will, as you just saw me demonstrate. Another thing you can do when they use Peeler Storm, as soon as they disappear, as soon as the blades start to appear, throw out your Soul Punisher, and you'll hit them. If you time it right, and are at the right distance, you'll actually hit them with the Soul Punisher and do a lot of damage. Other ultimates work for this as well, things like Super Kamehameha, Final Flash, Special Beam Cannon. Those can also be used to hit the raid bosses as they use that skill. Next we'll go over Brainwash Attack. When you know the boss has Brainwash Attack, just keep moving. Even if they target you, you'll avoid it as long as you're moving around. If moving around isn't an option, another thing you can do is disappear using skills like Elegant Blaster or Kai Kai. Those can get you away from it as well. Also, any moving evasives like Super Front Jump, Super Back Jump, Instant Rise, those can also get you out of the way of the Brainwash Attack in time. But the best skill to use against it is actually Angry Shout. If you see the screen turn purple and you're moving around or attacking the boss or something, immediately drop whatever it is you're doing and quickly use Angry Shout. I don't have it equipped here, and Arctic X is still waiting on the cooldown on Brainwash Attack. But what that will do is it will protect you from getting hit by Brainwash Attack as long as you're doing the shouting animation. Use it more than once if you think it's not going to work. Another thing you can do is if multiple people get brainwashed in a cluster next to each other, once the Brainwash Attack ends, get in the middle of them and then immediately use the Angry Shout and you'll free all of them at once. Here I went to an expert mission to show off some of the examples of what I'm using my skills to do. You'll see I immediately escaped Janemba's attacks by using Elegant Blaster to force him to target someone else. He is an armor boss, so I can technically just keep hitting him with Bomber DX. Now, against regular raid bosses, you won't break their armor. I can break his armor because this is just an expert mission. But what I'm trying to do is get him to use his Brainwash Attack so I can demonstrate what to do in that situation. You can see he lost interest in me himself. But watch this. Notice I didn't get hit by the Brainwash Attack. If I'd still had stamina left, I could free the other comms by using Angry Shout near them, as opposed to hitting them. Also try to show off what I mean by using the combos, but the comms are really good at preventing me from attacking Janemba. When he comes for me, I just go for Elegant Blaster to escape him. I'm going to let my stamina recover, so I'm going to land. I don't have to get a high score against Janemba, I just have to... See, even slowed, you see how slow I was, I still dodged it by keep moving. But you'll see here, I freed like 2 or 3 comms from Janemba's mind control just by using Angry Shout. And if there are mind-controlled people to watch out for, use Elegant Blaster and they'll stop targeting you. There we go. You can knock these back in one hit all by yourself, so you don't even need the comms or other players to help you. One of the skills that does that, and I primarily bring, is Soul Punisher. Just stand close enough and throw it so that it hits, and it'll knock it back every time. There are other skills that can do this too, and some of them even cost very little key to use. Some of the other skills that can be used to knock back gigantic key blasts in a single hit you include Photon Swipe, and I believe Big Bang Kamehameha times 100 can do it. If you have room for Photon Swipe, bring that with you, but what you'll want to do is bring Drain Field if the boss has either Peeler Storm or Marbling Drop, and if they don't have those, then bring Photon Swipe with you to counteract the gigantic key blast if they have that skill. The other thing raid bosses do is some of them have the scatter ability that sends everybody flying through a portal into another reality. If the boss does that, there's not a whole lot you can do about that. If you get knocked into a portal, which is likely, just quickly kill off whoever's in there, preferably with a knockback into the Vanishing Ball infinite, and then go ahead and fly back out. Once you're out, though, your goal won't be to attack the raid boss, but to destroy the other remaining crystals. If you're going fast through them and killing the enemy in the portal quickly like me, you'll probably be the first one out. So when you get out, use Bomber DX, Dual Masenko, or a few other skills like those, ones that hit hard, and you'll break the crystals, usually in a single hit. And if you're doing it right, you'll have Bomber DX equipped, so use that to break the crystals. Here's the most helpful time patroller, which is one of my characters, Blaze. And if you want, I can show her on my character screen to prove it. This is the character I usually bring, since this is my Strike Super-based character, and her abilities allow her to use Kamehameha Boost with her stats to do huge damage. And before we stop this video, I'll talk about one more thing, and that's my QQ Bang. This particular QQ Bang that I picked up was actually a fairly common one that was given to me by combining Beerus's Clothes with Beerus's Clothes and a Super Mix Capsule Z. I ended up with like 6 or 7 of these, and I gave them to all my characters that rely on Key Blast Supers instead of Strike Supers. So yeah, that's how I got those. I just mixed Beerus Clothes with Beerus Clothes and a Super Mix Capsule Z, and this was the most common result I got. Like I said, I got like 5, 6, or 7 of these just from that combination alone. I'll show off my actual attributes on Casina. You'll see I have nothing in health or strike supers. I've got 75 in max ki, 50 in max stamina, and a max of 125 in both basic attacks and Ki Blast supers. So I can do the most damage possible while having enough ki to keep up things like the Vanishing Ball infinite, and enough stamina to use skills, use evasive skills like Dragon Burn and Angry Shout and Psycho Escape. So yeah, I think that's about covers it. That's how I keep getting the high score, and with these strategies, you could basically do the same thing. I mean, it also takes a lot of practice to get these skills down. You'll want to learn to just guard raid boss skills, some of their attacks. Some of them have really crazy moves, like the current raid boss is Dragon Ball Super Broly, who has Gigantic Roar as a one-hit KO. But like I said, you can Dragon Burn to block it. You can Vanishing Guard or Super Guard to block it, or you can just Elegant Blaster and he'll lose the target on you, and then you can just move away, and the timing on that is so funny in that you'll reappear and blast him with the Elegant Blaster as soon as he's done firing Gigantic Roar, so you'll basically just hard counter it and do some damage to him. So yeah, again, I think this pretty much covers all there is to know about raiding. Against armor bosses, hit them with Bending Kamehameha and Bomber DX as fast as you can, and against other bosses, hit them with a knockback that sets them into the Vanishing Ball infinite, or hit them with Bomber DX as often as possible. And yeah, the other reason I have so much high damage is because I usually stick with it a lot. I'll run the raid like an hour, 2 hours at a time, or sometimes I might even devote a whole day if I've got nothing better to do. So yeah, that'll cover this whole video. So thanks again for watching, and I hope you learned something from doing this. And I guess I'll see you for the next video. Thanks again for watching.